So I got a new job. Now, stepping into this new role has completely elevated my leadership journey. I have transitioned from leading a team of 7 direct reports to being accountable for an entire division of over 60 people, becoming leaders of leaders of leaders. In my first 90 days, I knew I had to be extremely organized, strategic about who I connect with, how I engage with them, and what I said to uncover the most critical insight. My goal? Well, to simply celebrate their achievements as a team while identifying the key challenges where I can make the biggest impact. And this book was instrumental in helping me to do just that. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Teresa and I'm a product leader based in Melbourne, Australia. And on this channel, we explore strategies and tools that inspire us to keep growing in our career. In today's video, I will share my top 5 key takeaway from the book, The First 90 Days by Michael Watkins. Before we dive in, here's a bit of a background about Michael. He's a professor of leadership and organizational change at the International Institution of Management Development Business School and the co-founder of Genius Advisors. In 2023, he was inducted into the Thinker 50 Hall of Fame, a prestige recognition of his decades-long contribution to the field of management and leadership. Let's start with key takeaway number 1. Assess your vulnerability prior to starting the new job. As we progress into the new role and new organization, we need to take a moment to assess our reliance on what made us successful in the past. Let's be honest. Just because what we did in the past got us the promotion or got us this new job, it doesn't mean it fits for the next level up. Everyone likes to do some things more than others, and so do I. Our preference have probably influenced us to choose jobs where we can do more of what we like. As a result, we've perfected those skills and feel most competent when we solve problems in those areas and reinforce the cycle. Michael explains that this pattern is like exercising your right hand and ignoring your left. The stronger arm gets stronger and the weaker one, well, gets weaker. The risk, of course, is that you create an imbalance that leaves you vulnerable when success depends on being ambidextrous. So I use Michael's assessment of problem references, where he assesses your intricate interest in solving problems in each of these domains on a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 means very little interest and 10 means a great deal of interest. Now, ranking each of my interests in each cell separately on a scale of 1 to 10, keeping in mind that I'm being asked about my intricate interests, not my skills or experience. And then transferring this ranking to a different table, putting them into relevant areas of function and putting them under 3 key areas. And then sum them up, the 3 columns and the 5 rows. Now the 3 areas are technical problems, which encompasses strategies, markets, technology and processes. The political problems concerning power and politics in the organization, and cultural problems involving values, norms, and guiding assumptions. If one column total is noticeably lower than the other, it represents a potential blindside for you. If you score high on a technical interest and low on cultural and political interests, for example, you may be at risk of overlooking the human side of the organization equation. The row total represents your preference for various business functions. A low score in any row suggests that your preference not to grapple with problems in that functional area. Again, these are also potential blindside. So for me, I rank the highest on technical, which isn't really a surprise, as I've always interested on how things work to ensure I can provide the right advice. However, it does mean in my new job, I need to be very mindful of cultural and political blind spots on how to manage people and the human side of things. From the row perspective, I was highest on marketing, which isn't really a surprise because I'm so interested and love learning to tell stories better, especially from technical into business language, in order to bring value in an equal playing field. However, I do need to be mindful to put more learning behind the other areas of financial, human resourcing, operation, resourcing, and development, which is critical in my new level. Key takeaway number 2. Simply displaying a genuine desire to learn and understand translate into created credibility and influence. If you habitually find yourself too anxious or too busy to devote time to learning, you may suffer from action imperative. It is a serious problem because often being too busy to learn results in a death spiral. You can easily make poor early decisions that undermines your credibility, alienate potential supporters, and make people feel less likely to share important information with you. The result is that you make more bad decisions and enter a vicious cycle that can imperatively damage your credibility. So I took some time to define my learning agenda and structure. How was I going to structure my information that made sense to me? Michael's structured the learning agenda into past, present, and future, with a few questions to ask in each area. Questions about the past focus on performance. How has the organization performed in the past? How do people in the organization think it has been performed? The root causes, if performance has been good, why has it been the case? What have been the relative contribution of strategy, structure, systems, talent base, culture, and politics? Now, the history of change. What efforts have been made to change the organization? And what happened? In terms of questions about the present, such as vision and strategy, what is the stated vision and strategy? Is the organization really pursuing that strategy? If not, why not? If so, will the strategy take the organization where it needs to go? The people, who is capable, who is not, who is trustworthy, who is not, and who has influence and why? Processes. What are the key processes? Are they performing acceptably in quality, reliability, and timelines? If not, why not? The landmines. What lurking surprises could detonate and push you off track? What potentially damaging culture and political missteps must you avoid? And early wins. In what areas of people, relationship, process, or product can you achieve with some early wins? And questions about the future, such as challenges and opportunities. In what areas is the organization most likely to face stiff challenges in the coming years? What can be done now to prepare for them? Barriers and resources. What are the most formidable barriers to make needed changes? Are they technical, cultural, political? What new capability need to be developed or acquired? In culture, which elements of the culture should be preserved? Which elements need to be changed? Michael explains that the point is that even the modest structure, a script, a sequence of interactions, such as meeting people individually, doing some analysis, and then meeting them together can drastically accelerate your ability to extract actionable insight. And so here was my structure. I started with direct reports, going in depth with them, more one-on-ones within the first week, and then eventually setting reoccurring one-on-one weekly. And then setting up one-on-one with their direct reports with the 4 key questions, and a strong intention as an informal introduction, getting to know them at an individual level and looking at how do I assist them. Now the 4 questions that I ask everyone is, tell me about yourself and the time at the company. What are the areas that is working really, really well? What improvements do you want to see more of? And how can I support you? And then having group sessions that went into deep dives across operating rhythm, each team's portfolio, the overall portfolio roadmaps, the technical and system landscape. This has provided me with the lay of the land on portfolio management, the people, the processes, and practice, which is how I organized and structured my information. Key takeaway number 3, using the guiding stars model to help you adjust your leadership style. Now, it's easy to understand what industry of the business you are entering, but it's hard to determine the stages the business might be at across different departments, especially when people are being employed based on their capability, different industry types, and the size of the business. It can vary, and the STAR model puts it into a good context of what you're looking for or challenges you might come across that shifts your leadership style to drive change. So the STARS is an acronym for 5 common business situations leaders might find themselves moving into: startup, turnaround, accelerated growth, realignment, and sustaining success. The model outlines the characteristics and challenges of respectively launching a venture, getting back one on track, dealing with rapid expansion, re-energizing a once leading business that is now facing serious problems, or inheriting an organization that is performing well and taking it to the next level. In all 5 of the STAR situation, the eventual goal is the same: a successful and growing business. However, the challenges and opportunities vary in predictable ways depending on the situation you are experiencing. In a startup, you are charged with assembling the capabilities of people, funding, technology to get a new business, product, project, or relationship off the ground. This means you can shape the organization from the outset by recruiting your team, playing a major role in defining the agenda and building the architecture of the business. In a turnaround, you take on the unit or a group that is recognized to be in deep trouble and work to get it back on track. A turnaround is the classic burning platform demanding rapid decision action. Most people understand that sustainable change is necessary. Although they may be in a disarray and in a significant disagreement what needs to be done. Turnarounds are ready, fire, aim situation. You need to make the tough calls with less than full knowledge and then adjust as you learn more. In accelerated growth situation, the organization has begun to hit its stride, and the hard work of scaling up has begun. This typically means you're putting in structures, processes, and systems necessary for rapid expanding the business or the project, the product, or the relationship. You'll also likely need to hire and onboard a lot of people while making sure they become part of the culture that has made the organization successful this far. In realignment, your challenge is to revitalize a unit, product, process, or project that has been drifting into danger. The clouds are gathering on the horizon, but the storm has not yet broken, and many people may not see the clouds. The biggest challenge often is to create a sense of urgency. There may be a lot of denial. The leader needs to open people's eyes to the fact that a problem actually exists. In sustaining success situations, you are shouldering responsibility for preserving the vitality of successful organizations and taking it to the next level. This empathetically does not mean that the organization can sit on its laurels. Rather, it means you need to understand at a deep level what has made the business successful and position it to meet the inevitable challenges so that it will continue to grow and prosper. In fact, the key to sustaining success often lies in continuously starting up, accelerating, and realigning parts of the business. So I use this model and exercise from Michael on diagnosing my STARS portfolio because not every area of the organization has similar situation. I use this table to help me identify the mix of STAR situation that I have, first identifying which elements, project, process, products, and maybe even whole of business in my new responsibility falls into various STAR situation in the first column, and then list those elements in the second column. Now you don't need to have everything in every situation of the column. And then third column, estimate the percentages of my effort that I would be allocated to each category in the first 90 days, and making sure that everything adds up to 100%. Key takeaway number 4, negotiating success with 5 conversations. This means proactively engaging with your new boss to shape the game so that you have a fighting chance to achieving a desired goals. Michael explains that many leaders just play the game, reactively taking on their situation as given and failing as a result. The alternative is to shape the game by negotiating with your boss to establish realistic expectations, reach consensus, and secure sufficient resources. Keep in mind that the nature of your relationship with your new boss depends on your level in the organization and the business situation that you face. The higher you rise, the more autonomy you're likely to have, and this is especially the case if you and your boss are situated in a different location. Your relationship with your new boss will be built through an ongoing dialogue. Your discussion will begin before you accept the new position and continue into the transition and beyond. There are 5 specific conversations with your new boss about transition-related subjects in your first 90 days plan. These are not subject to be dealt with separate meetings, but they are intertwined thread of dialogue. The first is the situational dialogue conversation. In this conversation, you seek to understand how your new boss sees the STARS portfolio you have inherited. How did the organization reach these points? What factors, both soft and hard, makes this situation a challenge? And what resources within the organization can you draw from? Next is the expectation conversation. Your goal in this conversation is to understand and negotiate expectations. What does your new boss need to do in the short term and in the mid-term? What will constitute the success? Critically, how will your performance be measured? When, and make sure you agree on the realistic ask from your boss and negotiate. Keep in mind that it's better to underpromise and overdeliver. Next is the resource conversation. This conversation essentially is a negotiation for critical resources. What do you need to be successful? What do you need your boss to do? The resources need to be limited to funding or personnel. Key here is to focus your boss on the benefits and costs of what you can accomplish with different amounts of resources. The style conversation. This conversation is about how you and your new boss can best interact on an ongoing basis. What forms of communication does she prefer and for what? Face-to-face, voice, emails, and how often? What kind of key decisions does she want to be consulted on? And when can you make a call on your own? How do your styles differ and what are the implications for the ways you should interact? And then there's a personal development conversation. Once you're a few months into your new role, you can begin to discuss how you are doing and what your development priorities should be. Where are you doing well? In what areas do you need improvement or things differently? Are these projects or special assignments that you can undertake? The final key takeaway: create alliance by understanding the influence landscape. To succeed in your new role, you will need the support of people who you have no direct authority. You may have little or no relationship capital at the outset, especially if you're onboarding into a new organization. So you need to invest energy in building new networks. Start early. Discipline yourself to invest in building up that relationship bank account with people you anticipate needing to work with later. Think ahead about whether there are people you haven't met who are likely to be critical to your success. Here are some steps to help you identify the alliance. First step is to be very clear about your influence objective. Why you need the support of others. Start by thinking about the alliance you need to build in order to secure your early wins. For which of these wins you will need to gain the support of others over whom you have no or inefficient authority. Armed with a clear understanding of what you're trying to accomplish, you can drill down and figure out whose support is essential and how you'll secure it. Next step is to identify who will be the most important for your success. Who are the key decision makers? What do you need them to do, and when do you need them to do it? Consider creating a list for each early win initiatives you're pursuing. Next is win and block alliances. Of each of your early wins initiative, ask yourself which decision makers are essential for things to move forward. Together, these people are your winning allies, the set of people who collectively have the power to support your agenda. Next is map out the influence network. Who influences who on issues of concerns to you? Influencers network can play a huge role in determining whether or not change ultimately happens. Formal authority is by no means the only source of power in the organization. People tend to defer to others' opinion when it comes to important issues and decisions. As you learn more, try to identify the source of power that give particular people influence in the organization. For example, their expertise, control of information, connection to others, access to resources such as budget. And then draw your influence diagram to summarize what you've learned about the patterns of influence. So at the center of the circle are those key decision makers, your winning alliance, and then identify those who need support from, potential oppositions, and those that you haven't yet identified their status. Now be careful not to assume that people are adversaries. When you meet resistance, probe for the reason behind before labeling people as oppositions. If you find this video helpful or inspiring, please hit the like button and subscribe to this channel. Also, if you'd like to share your experience across your first 90 days, please share in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.